go. That copy just kicked in at the peak of that song here. So welcome everyone. My name's Trav. We've got Cobi plus 2 stellar guests and one more on the way. We are Web3 Matters, and today we are diving back into number 2 of our continuation of our live stream from last week. And Cobi, why don't you give us a quick intro on what the heck is going on today?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first off, thanks for hosting, Trav, the best MC in the game in Web3. But yeah, my name's Cobi, and last week we covered the first iteration of this like 2-part series with DeFi Tracker Pro. Pretty cool backstory, and we'll go into kind of like what the app is. It's actually like a Web2 application technically that integrates some blockchain data, and we'll just kind of leave the cliffhanger there. And yeah, we're joined by 2 out of 3 of the founders from Flare Forward. Is kind of was their mission before, it still is their mission, and the cool thing about this new application, it's kind of all one ecosystem, which again, we'll get into that as well. Yeah, Steven, if you want a quick intro just for folks that maybe didn't see last week's stream. Actually, real quick, we did a demo last week. We talked about the backstory and kind of how they got from idea to application, even talked about how our live stream had a impact as well. So yeah, if you guys are curious about a demo, we are going to look at the application again today, and we do have a code for you to get you guys a fat discount. Yeah, Steven, if you want to just drop a little intro and we can go from there.
Hey guys, yeah, so pleasure to be back here again. Looking forward to talking about some of the cooler experience. I really have gotten into vibe coding, love doing some vibe coding. Looking forward to talking about a couple of things I just built in the last day and a half. Incredible. And if you've done it right, the launch is super smooth. So super excited to talk about that, really dive in with nuts and bolts and kind of help people understand a little bit better about vibe coding and some of what we've learned along the way. Now, the coupon he's talking about is W3M. And what that will give you is, what's up, Victor, is an additional month free. So if you sign up, you get a month and a half for free. And again, it's just kind of showing appreciation to these guys and actually, like I said, how they actually helped us, like we said last time, kickstart our journey.
Boom, boom. I love it. Also, real quick, the promo code is W3M, so don't forget that. Time is of the essence, so make sure you jump on that as quickly as you can. And to access the trial, QR code is in the bottom left hand of the viewer screen. Dick, welcome. You're with us. You've been going through some stuff today. How are you feeling, my friend?
Yes, hi Trav, hi Steven, well, Kobe, super happy to be here. Yeah, some interesting things taking place in the US and passing across the control on the border and whatnot, but happy to be here. Oh, I see that Ace also joined us, amazing. And, just wanted to be here and try to understand everything that you guys are building, because I understand the guys built an amazing product, right? Vibe coding has certainly them. And now your guys are scaling with this referral code in this campaign that is supported by Web3 Matters as well. So I'm here just to learn more, to be honest.
I love it. Excellent. So Ace, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend. Why don't you give us a quick intro for yourself here and let the audience know who you are?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Sorry for joining late, but I am Ace. I'm part of the Flare Forward team behind, the product that we'll be talking about today, the DeFi Tracker and so forth. Kind of like behind the scenes more so, but these guys are doing awesome, getting the word out.
Excellent. All right. Great to meet you. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here, to connect with us, to connect with the community. Really looking forward to a stellar stream today here. So Cobi, why don't you get us started here? What's on the docket today, and why would anyone want to actually be here and hang out with us today? What's the point?
Yeah, absolutely, man. And sorry if I'm fuzzy or break up. I'm on the public library Wi-Fi, so just a heads up there. But yeah, so again, like Trav hinted at, and like Steven implied, one of kind of the the sparks to and let me preface this by saying I'm 99.9% sure that these 3 gentlemen would have built an application of some type, whether it's this or another one, with or without our stream. But it's really cool that they got to see one of our live streams. I think we built the animated or the landing page with the video background, so that's super cool. They had tried a few different vibe coding tools in the past, threw them out, said, hey, AI isn't there yet. That things have changed since then, and the tools are better, the resources are better, and kind of just the ability to be creative and like get your idea on paper, so to speak, or on code has accelerated so fast. And so why would anybody want to listen? So I know there's a few people that are in the comment section and people that I've interacted with on the timeline that are saying, I have an idea, I want to build an app, but I don't know anything about coding and I don't even know anything about apps. That's a real quote from somebody in my comment section. Turns out you don't actually have to. You just need to start. The secret to success is getting started, right? And so again, for anybody who even doesn't know, like just start having a conversation with the AI about it. And you might be able to get further than you think. And so why would somebody want to watch? Well, if you've got an idea, or even if you don't, you're going to be able to learn how these guys went from idea to application, and you can actually do it without spending, you can technically do it for $0, but realistically for a small amount of change.
Also, let me quickly shout out to any of our DeFi fans. If you guys want a tool that actually works to help you guys find the highest yields, the highest returns, and a lot of alpha and insights into actual assets that are out there right now, this episode's for you too here. So before we get into it, guys, I just want to welcome our audience here. We're already pushing 60 people hanging out with us right now. Thank you so much for taking the time. If I can kindly ask you guys to give this live stream a repost. We want to give all of these gentlemen here some love as much as we possibly can. Plus, we want to share the alpha, the real life alpha that will actually help change people's lives for the better. The more people we reach, the more able we are to do that here. So, real quick, I want to touch in with you one more time there, Quantic. Any burning questions on your mind here before we jump into it?
Yeah, actually, I want to give a boost to this space. I'm pretty sure that if I post something interesting from my account, we will get some more eyes. And I think that we have the right opportunity here because very recently, a few minutes ago, Enosys, which is one of the DeFi protocols on Flare, announced a CDP on Flare backed by FXRP. This is actually a huge deal. I think that we should talk about this at least 5 to 10 minutes or so. But I don't know if you guys are willing. I know that we are tight on time. We have things to cover, but I'm pretty sure that Steven, Whale, and Ace, they might have some interesting things to share about it. So can we add that to the agenda?
I mean, I'm into it. I don't know what any of that means, so I kind of really want to know. Especially if you are saying it's a big deal, then it's definitely a big deal here. Everyone else on the same page about that? How are we feeling?
Okay, so let's do this. I'm gonna tweet now from my account. Within 10 minutes, I'm gonna talk about the CDP on Flare with this stable coin is a big deal, and I'm sure that we will get some more eyes. So let's add that to the agenda, and we will discuss that at some point. How's that sound?
The crowd absolutely unequivocally agrees. Let's do just that.
So to add to what Quantic said, we learned that the CDP was coming, like it was confirmed this last weekend. And so Ace and me got on a call, and then we did like a 4-hour research to try to understand what CDPs are, how do they work. And we're already like thinking about how to implement that into our app, because that's the beautiful thing, is that as new products come in, we need to create the tools to be able to track our own investments, and that is going to be offered to the public. And I think that that is where this whole idea of this app came from. Seeing new protocols come up in DeFi, and then finding a tool that can help us make better decisions on those protocols.
Very exciting.
Absolutely. Dude, I love that you guys went so deep right away. That's pretty awesome. And yeah, CDPs has, so I know what the acronym stands for.
Said, by the way.
You're right.
Sorry.
I know what the acronym stands for, but I'm excited to dive deeper. So let's leave that as a cliffhanger. Let Quantic send his tweet, get a few folks in here, and then we'll circle back in on that. Trav, what do you think? Maybe they could introduce the app, give their pitch on the app.
Yes, that sounds absolutely perfect, and I think a very natural place to start here. So whichever one of you gentlemen want to kick us off and get us started, please, the floor is yours.
Go ahead, Steven. You tend to do the best with it.
8 Whale's got it up, actually, so we'll let Whale run through that.
All right, yeah. We won't talk into the demo right away, but I just wanted to talk about the app. Like I was saying before, the idea came from understanding and learning DeFi. The three of us met through Flare Network, and we've been exploring and trying to learn. And whenever something comes up, we always do deep dives, and we hop on a call and we argue, like not in a bad way, but we have we discuss ideas and we go back and forth. and then somebody has like something to say, and then we try to, like say why it's wrong or whatever. So we end up learning a lot. And then really the idea came so I can track my investments, track my DeFi, and understand better what's going on and make better decisions. Because I think one of the problems with DeFi currently is that everything is kind of behind the scenes. You don't know what's happening until many times it's too late. So by creating this app, we figure out how to see, like put a visual aspect to these investments so that then we can make better decisions. And I think that in the broader spectrum, that is what this app is meant for. Give information to the user so then he can make decisions based on data instead of emotions.
I mean, you had me at data, you had me at info. I'm all about it, and I can't think of a better ethos to bring with you when building a DeFi specific app. So that's awesome. Cobi, where's your mind at? What's happening?
Well, I mean, you already know that I like am bullish on this this concept of letting the data make the decisions for you. Not because I'm data like first traditionally, like somebody like yourself is kind of, more data forward. That's a flare forward pun. But anyways, I've had like tons of emotional decisions. I've made a ton of emotional decisions, whether it's in DeFi or trading. And you wake up and you see your position and you're like, oh crap. The example I think that Whale brought up last time was, I bought this hypothetically, I bought a lot of XRP at 30 cents. And now I wake up and I've like 5x'd my money, whatever it might be. And then let's say there's a big red day or a series of red days, and all of a sudden that, that 1,000 that turned into 5,000, now it's 4,000, and I'm panicking and I don't know what to do because I was just looking at that 5K for months, and now it's going down. I'm going to panic. I'm going to quick unloop my position and back out. But if I were to be using DeFi Tracker Pro, I would be able to like see that my average entry is actually much lower, and I'm just losing out on realized gains. I'm not actually losing out on, my initial investment. And I think that's important to, back to my original point, is to separate the emotions from the
And great way to bring that alive. And I feel like that's a story every single one of us in crypto can absolutely relate to and have experienced at one time or another here. Maybe Steven, I'll get back at you here. What are we looking at on screen right now?
This is our main dashboard area here that Whales kind of got brought up, which again goes depending on what wallet you got, free versus paid, tells your liquidity pools, what you have in unclaimed fees, and kind of what's going on there. A little bit further down, it has your wallets, your values, total invested. And then obviously it's always important to understand, like, where do you have your money allocated? Liquidity pools, lending and borrowing, and wallets. And then over at the other side is, how much of each asset do you own? What is your biggest value of assets? And obviously everybody likes to know their cash value, so we made sure we had that there, but we also had the token value. So this way you can kind of make sure you got to see both at one. So yeah, like I said, it's all about data.
I am grateful for that, actually. It's so nice to actually see both of those metrics because, it kind of gives you a better sense of where the price is at and how the performance is doing by being able to compare the actual token allocation versus the actual net value, which is absolutely huge. And for anyone who doesn't recognize that, just give it a shot and you'll see pretty quickly how important that is here. So I think it's important here. I know you guys have some updates here and we want to talk a little bit more about your backstory as well, but let me just quickly check in with you there, Quantic. How are you feeling about all this so far?
Yeah, I was just having a few ideas because right now I guess the product is at a stage in which it is really useful for users. And what you would expect to see at some point is that if you gather more feedback, you will start seeing people that will want to have like very specific kind of niche metrics and way of tracking things and information that they want to see display. And this also opens up like a new business opportunity for you guys at the, with your DeFi tracker, which is maybe there can be ways in which you can work for custom solutions. Imagine you have a company now that wants to use this, right? They will want to have very specific information and they might have like a lot more money to pay rather than just a subscription. Just
Like a B2B
having some
situation.
ideas here for you.
Custom dashboards. I like it. I
Yeah,
like
that's
it
a really
very
good
much.
idea. It's a really good idea.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, those things are coming. Somebody already approached us and offered to make like UI upgrades, and we were talking about it, how it's really nice. And yeah, for sure, I'm sure everything can be better over time. And they were saying it looks very vibe coded, and I was like, yeah, that's the point. We're not coders, we're vibe coders. So like that is that is part of my selling point. How somebody that does not have experience in this field can actually have a viable product that is useful. And sure, it looks vibe coded. That's what I used. Why would I hide it?
Exactly. And also like it, one way to kind of position it too, and I know we're getting a little off track, but is like you come with the DeFi native knowledge first, right? And you and I have talked in private or maybe even on stream last time, and that a lot of developers, especially in Web3, they're contracted out, they make the build, they do the requirements that a product manager gives them, and then they leave. They cash their check and they're gone. They may not even be like crypto native, they might not be DeFi native or even actually use their own application. And so yeah, like I have a feeling that you guys are one example, but I have a feeling that we're going to continue to see these like experts in certain niches build applications that showcase their expertise, not showcase their development skills. You know what I mean? And so there's definitely something to be said there for sure.
Yeah, and I kind
Awesome.
of want to circle back to what Quantic kind of said not too long ago. I think that would be a natural progression to eventually get to a point where we're able to provide white label solutions to bigger users or people who may be interested in our product. Of course, we wanted to start with retail first and really get the buy-in from that world, but it'd be amazing to be able to kind of bleed over into the institutional or B2B side of things and provide white label solutions. So that's actually a really good idea.
No,
Yeah, because
and I do.
one thing that I wanted to mention, Trav, sorry to interrupt there, is that
It's all good, man.
this also gives you a way of understanding where this whole vibe coding thing might go, which is we have these guys here that they are obviously not experts on developing stuff, but they took action and they managed to do something pretty well. But the reason why they were able to do so, not only because they have the AI tools and the grid, also because they have a unique knowledge, right? They do have knowledge on DeFi that 99% of the world population just does not have, right? And that gives them an edge to create this kind of unique products. So I think that in the future, what we will see is people that have a specific knowledge that will be monetizing that through vibe coding in kind of a similar fashion as this.
I love that. And when we're just talking about the human capacity for output, being only having to be now an expert in one area instead of two, essentially, having to be an expert in DeFi and also in coding, that's going to allow so much more creativity and value to enter the app making market. And then the ability to, really have a unique standpoint, a unique product offer is going to skyrocket as well. Plus, I just also want to finish off by saying, gentlemen, I do appreciate how you're going to retail first. That definitely fits with our ethos here as well at Web3 Matters. Community first, always. So
yeah, and lots of value for free. Like, dude, they're
yeah.
giving out so much in the free version.
Quick shout out here. Promo code W3M for 4 free weeks of the pro edition of this app here. QR code's up on the top left here. Cobi, where are we taking this conversation next?
Well, before we jump into the collateralized debt positions, kind of like education and conversation there, I had one question because
Hey, before we jump too far, I want to hit what Quantic said, because again, this is Web3, this is all AI stuff too. This is really AI built. So I'm a big AI proponent. I love what AI has done for us, and I talk about it to people a lot of time when I meet them. And people, like you were saying, unique things to build. Like anybody can build stuff. Kids could build stuff. And I have some guys I talk to, is like, hey man, do you have an app used for fishing or finding different things? And I was like, dude, you get on an AI and build in API some stuff in and get all the data you want for fishing or whatever, right? It doesn't have to be, what we're building. It could be something that every day data you want to have to make a decision, whatever decision it could be. Like fishing is just one. So it's going to be really incredible what AI does for us in this industry.
Yeah, totally. And it's also like building stuff that just for like I have like 10 applications on my computer locally that I just use, on my like daily, for work. Like I have an image compression tool that instead of going to one of these janky websites, I just load it up. I have a shortcut that I hit and I can compress an image in the same. It doesn't save me time, but at least I know that I'm not like going to download something sketchy and I can use it anywhere, right? I don't have to be on Wi-Fi to do it. So that's another thing. So yeah, my question before we jump into the CDP stuff is obviously, and it ties into this. Obviously, you built this for yourself first, right? Like you guys solved your own problems first. The expression, right? Eat your own dog food. But as we go a little bit further, who's it for, right? So, and it might be different, right? The free version might have kind of a wider net and the pro version might be a little bit different. Who's the target audience here?
All right, I'll take that one. Again, we have two different target audiences. Our free version actually is targeted for everyone. If you have more than one wallet and you're not using our system, I think you're crazy. A, it's free. B, you can't log into all the wallets at the same time to understand what's going on. So we built this for the majority of crypto users. The original build was for our DeFi, but then Whale had the great idea of, can we segment it off and give away something? And he just, he was like the wallets and the profit strategy, which he has pulled up. And so, we actually fit the use case for, I want to say 100% of active users in crypto. Like you got to be active, right? If you just bought some, you're sitting on Robinhood, we're probably not a good fit for you. But if you got 4 or 5 and you're buying, you're watching prices, you're selling here or there, like the free wallet, you can't not use it. Like it's incredible and it's free compared to $20 somewhere else. So we have two different audiences. Whale, I see your hand.
Yeah. I would add to what Steven said. I don't think like people with only one wallet are not necessarily that can use it, because I have a friend that he's been buying on Uphold and he doesn't have that much money and he feels more comfortable there. He has no idea what's his average buy price for the assets that he has bought. So, and then that comes back to what he was saying. It's like, I think I bought at 230, 280, but then like buying at 280 and being at 290, it's very different than buying at 230 and being at 290. So even if you only have an exchange, like even if you're the most basic crypto user, taking the time to set up how much you bought, you're going to keep track. Like that would be the easiest thing. And like I said, it just gives you data. And I think data equals peace of mind.
Yeah.
Knowledge is power.
Definitely. Like at least when I look at the free version of the wallet, I look at those who may be just getting into crypto. And so a lot of people that I know that may not be considered crypto native, they want to dip their toe in, but there's so many different questions that they have. They have all these hesitations, if you will, that kind of prevents them from like really diving in. And when I show them this product, the free version of our DeFi tracker, they're like, oh, okay, that actually, I can see how that could help me, just getting started. Like I may not want to use, coin market cap to track my portfolio, but I may use this, and this seems more granular and I can see everything that I care about at least. And so to me, this is like a gateway to truly getting more involved into crypto, Web3, digital assets.
Yeah, I love that because I wish I would have had this, right? Like I had to burn money to learn, right? Like I had to lose a bunch of trades. I had to forget where my average price was. I had like sloppy, my first few times using Aave were really ugly, and this could have helped me right out of the gate. So that's a really good point.
I love it. And I've been having interviews with a bunch of startup founders recently. Startup founders and then very established blockchain founder words, if you know what I mean, words. Essentially, I've been talking to a lot of people. And the one thing that we are talking about predominantly these days is mass adoption. And how do you onboard brand new users? How do you onboard completely naive new users who've never even touched a crypto wallet? And you want to make it as easy as possible. You want to empower them with as much information so that they can make safe choices in the crypto world. Because all it takes, especially if you're brand new, if your first experience is an atrocious one, you're done with life. Like the odds of somebody coming back after one failed interaction with the crypto space is one and done, essentially, in 90% of the cases. And then plus also, trying to counteract that massive stigma that exists currently about crypto, thanks to meme coins. Thanks meme coins. I hate you. Just kidding. Anyways, let's not go there. So let's move this conversation forward here. Quantic, you mentioned something exciting about CDP, and I think it's about time that we go there. I'm looking at your post here, and it's definitely taken off like a bat out of hell here. So why don't we get right into that?
Yeah, that's the.
Are you down with CDP? Yeah, you know me.
Yeah, you know me. Crap.
Yeah, guys,
And
for
I
sure.
got some alpha for you guys as well when he's finished.
So
Love it. Love me some alpha.
just to set some context, CDP it's just a smart contract that will allow you to mint another asset providing some collateral, like just broadly speaking, right? So in this case, what happens is that you have a bunch of XRP that is going to be bridged to Flare via the F asset solution. So the name of the asset is called FXRP. Solution that was created by Enosys. It's not really created by Enosys, to be honest. It's a fork, but it's a friendly, distant fork, I would say. People will be able to have a stable coin on Flare that is fully collateralized by XRP and that is, decentralized. And for me, it's exciting because it allows developers to play with new DeFi primitives, something that I think is going to become more and more of a trend because, not only you can create like apps and whatever, but also what you can do with it. That's something that developers can also help unlock. But for that to happen, we actually need people that are DeFi savvies. So I actually want to hear from them. What is it that they see in this news as something very unique, positive, or interesting? Really.
Okay,
Yeah.
real quick, can we summarize that very concisely in like one or two sentences? Can you summarize what this news is and why it's so exciting?
Yes,
Challenge
let's do
to
that.
anyone on
So
stage.
in just a few seconds, this now means that people will be able to have a stable coin collateralized by FXRP. And the question for Steven, is why is this a bullish news and what this really means?
Thank you, Quantic. Please take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, so I'm showing a little alpha. This is a screenshot of their actual UI. It's beautiful. I really like it.
Damn.
And then here you would have one thing that I really like is that your positions are going to be NFT, so that can be transferred. And basically the difference between borrowing and lending and CDPs is that borrowing and lending, you're actually borrowing assets from another person. And in CDPs, you are minting a new stablecoin at that point. So you can set up your own interest rates, and then the lower the interest rates, the earlier you are in line to getting redeemed. And redemptions, as opposed to liquidations that are when the value of your collateral drops, the redemptions are when the value of the stablecoin drops below 1. So by people redeeming, that makes the interest rates go up. So the people that deposit in the stability pool make more yield. So then they're incentivized to mint more tokens. So it's just a beautiful process of having a balance in the protocol. And yeah, like Quantic said, I think this is extremely exciting news.
That is awesome. So you can establish your own yields through lending assets, or basically FXRP that you've minted yourself. So unused stable coins, you mint yourself using the CDP smart contract, and then you can lend it out and set your own APY that you would get in return, your own interest rate. Is that
it's not? It's the interest that you're paying.
Interest that you're paying? Okay,
yeah.
Got you.
And then the higher the interest rate, you can see here medium redemption risk and then low redemption risk. So the lower the higher the interest rate, the further you're out by being redeemed. And then the more you want to play with like a lower interest rate, the easier it is to get redeemed. The difference, like I said, with liquidations is that because your collateral is going down, you actually have to sell more of your collateral to pay that debt. And in the redemption, the price could be pumping, but if the stablecoin drops below 1, then you get redeemed. But if you still have the stablecoin, you could just go back. So liquidations, you can lose 10 to 20% of your collateral. based on that. And redemptions are usually neutral or mildly negative to you. Like ideally, you don't want to get redeemed, but it's not the end of the world. And getting liquidated could affect you so much more.
It kind of reminds me of stock options. Like,
It reminds me of a pawn
Yeah.
shop.
okay, I like it.
Yeah, so it's like pawning your ETH to mint stablecoins. So you
Yeah.
want to keep your collateral above 1, otherwise the shop sells your stuff.
And in the meantime, until they do, you're making money just from holding it. That sounds about right.
Well, no, but then that stablecoins you would need to use for something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
So minting, you're paying interest for minting, but then you
Got you.
have that capital. So, I mean, the example that I always give is I took some leverage from my Flare to buy a drone. So
Okay.
instead of selling my Flare, because I'm not ready to sell my Flare, like I'm not ready to even take profits on my Flare. Instead of doing that I have that capital that otherwise would be just sitting in my wallet. Now it allows me to put it as collateral, take a loan, and then I can go and buy that drone. If I had more capital,
Okay.
that could be a car that you could open a business, and then from that business pay back your loan. So remember that crypto is all about becoming your own bank. So by doing this with the assets that you own, you can really manage your own debt. And that's what I've been saying about DeFi, that DeFi creates that liabilities. If your crypto is just sitting in a wallet without giving you any yield, that's a liability because you're only hoping for prices to increase. The moment that that becomes an asset and that asset is giving you some kind of yield, then it's no longer a liability. And I think that this is where we're heading, that people like this also increases demand for the assets because then if you don't have to sell your XRP to get access to capital, then that increases the value of XRP.
Brilliant.
And
It's
we
all
have
come
to
together.
remember that Flare is going to bring F Bitcoin as well, F Doge, F XLM. So then,
Yeah.
I mean, let me give you a quick example. You have MicroStrategy that is taking debt to buy more Bitcoin, and their only business model is hoping that the price of Bitcoin keeps going up.
Yeah. Okay.
People Power is going to bring value to Flare by putting their treasury XRP to work. So if they're making yield, then that is their business model, not just hoping for price appreciation. And that changes everything.
I'm also appreciating how the conversation is shifting from using your liquidity to, put into a liquidity pool or stake it somewhere to actually now using it to buy real world stuff. This is definitely a conversation that's getting closer and closer to satisfying or to realizing Satoshi Nakamoto's dream, which is actually using crypto as a means to level the playing field so that everyone has access to stable financial instruments here. And this seems to be another tool to actually enable that in the sense of doing it in a smart way, where you're putting your money to work and able to use it to improve the quality of your life. Yeah. Okay. I like how this is kind of coming together now. It seems like a more mature conversation than one I'd be having even a year ago now when it comes to what the heck do we do in DeFi. I think this is awesome. What are your guys' reactions?
I mean, I think you kind of have to see products similar to CDP if you expect the DeFi ecosystem to mature and really start to attract that institutional money. Because institutions, they look for stuff like this. Retail, we may not really know what any of this is, but I guarantee you that it's not really foreign to, or at least the concept is not really foreign to institutions. So it'll be interesting to see what type of strategies people come up with to leverage their capital and really, maximize their value with their assets that they already hold. We've been brainstorming a few strategies behind the scenes, and it's really interesting. It's a really interesting time that we're in, and we're really excited to see the growth that is coming to Flare, especially with products like these. So only time will tell. We'll see.
And also, if I
Yeah, for real, it's
100%.
kind of like a. Go ahead, Quantic. You go. Go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. Another thing that I think is really positive here that many people like kind of don't see yet is that this actually attracts a profile of users that are kind of the right users in the sense that, you have all these traders that are doing stuff with meme coins and all that. That's fine. But if you have assets that are valuable, then you want to have assets that you will hold for prolonged periods of time and that you can put to work, right? This is what institutions are looking for, and I positive steps for the entire industry so that we can have an alternative for everyone that is not into like the whole casino game, which again, I don't have anything against it, but it's just a different type of user. And I think that that's pretty healthy for the entire ecosystem.
It's like the long-term vision is starting to materialize as opposed to the degen ecosystem that we are birthing from. Sorry for that metaphor. I apologize.
No, I
Gentlemen.
No, I dig it. I dig it. It's almost like and yeah, like you said, it's that kind of that one type or a different type of user. It's in Web 2 or in TradFi, right? Like they, you've got, I think Steve said it maybe earlier. Steven said it, margin, right? Like margin loans. Another comparison would be like secured credit, like secured credit lines, repo agreements where institutions will like post their securities for short-term cash loans. So very, very comparable, right? Like these mechanisms do exist by different names in TradFi. And so it is just going to like reach across that aisle even more. And so, yeah, I'm super bullish on that. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Yes, Will, I see your hand up. It's all yours.
I think coming back to what Quantic, he beat me to that idea is that, I mean, I like the idea of Flare being a serious product. And I think that from that philosophy, we are trying to teach people to see this as a serious product that, if done, implemented correctly, can change your life in the long run. So I think that our app, like right now, sure, the yields are almost ridiculous. Like I love them, but they're almost ridiculous. And I don't think that that is going to be sustainable long term. So coming back to the example of the CDP, if you're paying 1.2 interest, then you want to make sure that you're at least making 1.5. And this app allows you to track that and really see how much you're making, because like before I had this app, all of my DeFi was a little bit of guessing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that now I can really make decisions. Like the other day, I was in a liquidity pool for 4 months, and then the price dropped, and I was happy to hold the asset. So I just exit and went back to lending it. But I could see exactly that the value, like the impermanent loss at that time, was less than the fees that I had made. So I was like, yeah, sure, I can exit this position, no problem, because I still made 10% of the value that I entered by being in this liquidity pool for 4 months.
Brilliant.
And like I said, I'm not talking about millions of percentage. I think the app, the free version for meme coins are great, because like sometimes you have 5 good assets, like 5 blue chips, but maybe you buy 50 meme coins. And after a year, you're not going to remember at what price you bought. So with this, you could go back and something that is 3 years old and be like, damn, I'm at profit. Let's sell because I made money on this. And I think that that's the beautiful thing about this app, that is not limited to one kind of users, and it is as powerful as you can use it, because that's the other part, that not everybody has the knowledge base to be able to really utilize this app. And that's the bridge that we're trying to gap.
Yeah.
First of all, excellent segue. Sorry, go ahead, Ace.
No, I was just going to say one point about the degen comment. Like, I feel like we're definitely going to always remain degens, but we're going to be trading in our hoodies and sweatpants for suit and ties. And we're still going to be degens, even with products like CDP.
Steven disagrees. I think he's firmly attached to his hoodie and sweatpants here.
Man, you can barely get me to wear a shirt, and you want me to wear a suit?
That's true. We can attest to that here on Web3 Matters. I love it. Excellent. Well, hey, I wanted to mention here, a great segue back into your product here. And then also when you're talking about, I just really quickly want to address here, if the interest rate on your essential CDP loan is 1.3%, when we're looking at different APYs on many different pools in the entire crypto space, it is not hard at all to get something that's 1.5% or higher. I think that's a great segue back into this conversation flow here. But before I do, I just want to quickly update here. It is about 18 minutes before the end of our space here. I know we do have a pretty hard out I know what you're thinking there, Cobi. It's all yours, my friend. Pretty hard out at that time. So yeah, let's get back on track here and get back to the real alpha.
Okay, cool. So yeah, if you want to kind of jump in and show a little bit more about the app of, I believe it's your screen that's being showed. If you want to maybe kind of continue with the demo there.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
So I showed you guys the dashboard here, like Steven was saying. If you're in the free version, you're not going to see this DeFi portfolio, but you can see the wallet. It tells you the number of assets. This is just a demo account that I made for the last stream. And then here you can see what's your allocation of each asset, how are they allocated between liquidity pools, lending, wallet, and the total value of your portfolio. What we were talking earlier, in this case, my investment was $550 and now it's worth $3,000. This $3,000, you're going to get used to it. Like, you're going to see it and you're going to get used to it. So that shock of having your value from 5,000 going to, for 500 to 3,000 is going to be gone. If this goes to 2,000, you're going to be freaking out. But if you see this, you're like, man, I'm not 447% up. I'm only 350. Like, chill out, you know? And then we have the wallets. And here you can add any wallet, any exchange. In this case, I put this to us as an example, but this could also be like a broker. If you're in Caleb and Brown, you can put it there. Anything that you want, because this is not a real wallet. This is just a name, a nickname. And then you can add any asset that you want. If the asset doesn't exist, you can choose to create a new asset. And then you just suggest a price feed. I have to verify it. And then it goes back to the list of available tokens. And this we created in a way that we can scale, because I do not know what assets people have. So instead of trying for me to predict it and then hard code it into the app, we took the time to actually create a system where I can create new assets. And then I have an admin panel where I can manage my assets and approve them. I can do the same thing for the networks. Here, if I don't have this, you can create a new network. You suggest it, I approve it, and then it's available for everybody. And then we have the liquidity pools. Same thing here. This is just an example. I only have one position here. You can see the current value, the initial investment, how many days you have been active, the APR that you're getting, how much total fees, and the P&L between the value increase from your initial investment plus the fees. And then you have a detailed page where here you can see your impermanent loss. If you had held the assets instead of being in an LP, you would be $9 up, but we have made $13 as of now. And then my total P&L is $60. So this impermanent loss that usually sounds terrifying, once you see it like this, you realize that it's not that bad, because here, even though this value is less than this, I made more in fees, so I'm 100% in a profit. The fee breakdown, the projections here, you can see how much you're making every day, how much you have made back from your initial investment, your initial deposit, the performance summary, like everything is just, you have the history, so you can see everything that you have done throughout the days, months, or years. Even at some point, I feel like we're going to have positions that we're not going to be managing from week to week. It's going to be there for a long time. And then, well, of course, if I had more liquidity pools here, you would see your added APR, your added monthly APR, like all of this data, you would see it. And then we have the profit strategy. This is also part of the free version. And then here you set your purchase price, the amount of tokens that you have, and then you can set up custom targets to sell. And this is up to you. Like, this is not me suggesting you to do this. This is just your plan. And then that way, once you are okay, let's say that we hit the first target, I press here. So then I say that I sold 250 tokens, and then it adds to the actually token sold and the actual profit that you have done from this operation. And then lastly, we have lending and borrowing. Here you can create your market makers. You can set up how much money here. For example, I didn't link it to my wallet. So here I would go and I'd say, yeah.
I think we
Seems
did.
like it.
Seems like it.
It's okay because
He's still moving around on the screen though, right?
Whale,
yeah,
we can't hear you, my friend.
maybe someone
Oh,
left.
I bet his headphones died or something like that. Yeah, I bet that's what happened.
In the meantime, guys, I do have a question maybe for Steven and Ace, which is, something that I found on the Flare community is that a lot of people
Hola,
are
hola, hola.
just kind of confused about just holding Flare and expecting the value to go up. And, you can always do that. Of course, this is not what we want to incentivize. We want to incentivize people to participate on Flare ecosystem and DeFi, get the rewards and everything. But when it comes to the tracker, I don't know if you're helping people to see like the profits in terms of USDC, in terms of LR tokens itself, and how do you guys manage that from a psychological point of view?
I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there, Quantic. I only
The
caught
very end
the
question. Yeah, I didn't
yeah.
catch the end of it.
The end of the question was like, how do you guys handle that, like the psychology behind? Because you can be in profits in terms of stable coins if you were to sell your FLR, or you could be in profits in terms of increasing the amount of FLR that you have while participating on DeFi.
Yeah, that's a very good question. Right now, because we're in a bull market, we're trying to focus on profits in terms of USD. And then at some point, we need to figure out how to inverse it for like for shorting the market for sure. But I think that the US dollar is just clearer because I totally get your point. And I think that, yeah, that needs to be like a switch where you can click and then you can swap to see what's your total amount of tokens in terms of profit.
Exactly. Because, for instance, you can do this if you go to Coin Market. You will see some coins that look amazing against the US dollar right now. But when you change that against Bitcoin, for instance, things doesn't look that well, right? So if you're an investor, you probably also want to have a feeling about, other key digital assets that you want to keep track against.
So one thing that I think this is the perfect bridge from that to the next thing that we want to touch. I recently updated the price feeds to be fetched from the Flare time series oracles. That's the FTSO. And then, yeah, that was a great thing. So I feel like once I have that, I can easily set it up to have the coin against different pairs. I don't know exactly how to do that, but I can see it in my head. I just need to sit down
I bet
with
it's
it.
done before the end of the week. I bet it's done before the end of the week. Like the vibe coding might be done. It might be done by tomorrow. Like that's the beauty of the AI and being able to build with AI. And so, I might, because I got to dump here in just a second, but I would, like I said, I would love to just say how amazing AI is, because, one of the things we wanted to roll out was like a community voting. So this way we're not just dictating what comes to the app, we're allowing the community to do it. And within a few prompts, again, I say a few, you have to have a conversation and there's a process to go through it, but you can add or change different things in the blink of an eye. And so I built the whole ecosystem, and being able to vote and make suggestions and do all that stuff, and how it would go through a pipeline in probably about an hour, maybe less. And then Whale wanted to see some different UI stuff. And so he was like, you know what, let's try it. So in like 30 minutes, he put together a UI, sent it to me. We're like, yeah, you know what, we don't like it. And then went back to the original. But, the AI vibe coding allows you so much flexibility to go experiment with stuff that most coders don't do right now. Just to see, do you like it? You don't like it? Can you do it? Can you not do it? So, I mean, it's just incredible. So I imagine that will be built though before the end of the week. I have a feeling.
That's because literally all it takes is having a conversation with a chatbot at this point, which is so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And like knowing your outcome in that convo, Trav, right? Like,
It makes a ton of
one
sense.
thing, I applied for a role last night, and one thing that like really excited me about that role is like their philosophy about intent driven. And it kind of clicked for me. I was like, oh wait, like that's me. Or no, wait, that's vibe coders. That's anybody creating with AI now. And a lot of traditional developers too, but like thinking about the end goal first and then working backwards is, yeah, it's just like the way that most people think. And I feel like that's one of the edges that maybe like the AI assisted builders have. And I'm going to drop it in the comment section, but I made a post this morning with 4 like resources, 4 tips, and then also 4 resources that go along with those tips on how to like make your front ends, if you're building with AI, make them look a little less AI-ish or whatever. So I'll drop it down in the comment section for anybody curious about that.
Perfect. That's huge. A huge fan of that. Quantic, where's your mind at now that we've been chatting about this for a little bit here?
Yeah, no, I just keep thinking about the multiple business opportunities now that these guys are gonna have, and it's an amazing example of how you can, just get shit done, explore, utilize your knowledge, expertise, and enjoy life. It's an amazing time.
I'm into it. And getting back to that point real quick about starting with the end goal and working your way backward, I feel like that was written in like Sun Tzu, The Art of War, as a strategy that's been a winning one for centuries at this point here. So now that we don't really have to worry about the manual labor, the time even to test out different ideas, to actually start with that end goal and then just have AI walk you through exactly what needs to be done, and doing the vast majority of it for you opens up the world to so much possibility and allows so many different people to actually what build visions that they have in their own mind and solve real world problems here. So where are we taking this conversation next there, Cobi? We're nearing the end of the hour here, and I want to make sure that we hit on all the solid points here.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I have a couple questions. Unless these guys wanted, with a few minutes left, if there was anything else they wanted to add. Otherwise, I can jump into a question or two.
Perfect. Yeah,
All
great
right.
call. If you guys, do you have any kind of final, or maybe not necessarily final, but very important points that you want to drop here on our stream before we actually switch topics here?
Okay, cool. So yeah, this one I think not only is valuable for for people that are trying to build an app, just for people that use AI in general, whether that's to assist with trading, DeFi, or just their, everyday life stuff, or if they're building. We talked about this previously, but like which models, like which AI models, right? And for those listening, an AI like GPT-5 is a model, Claude Sonnet 4.1 is a model. So which models do you guys use, and for what do you use them for?
Great question.
So I guess I'll hit that. For me, I personally, we use Cursor obviously, but in Cursor, I specifically use Claude. I even use Claude on my like day job. That to me is like the very code specific model that I've seen a lot of success with. And then when you're writing enterprise applications, or at least testing enterprise applications, Claude is done really well. So using Claude for something like this is a no-brainer in my opinion.
Yeah, I would say that I use Claude 3.7. Don't use 4 a lot. I've tried 4, and I just wasn't happy. It seemed to run away on me a little bit more than 3.7. And then when I am doing detailed problems, like solving super complex, Gemini is my go-to first. And if Gemini doesn't work, then I'll switch it up every now and then to Omni. But I really love Gemini for detailed problem solving.
Thought for sure GPT-5 would be on that list. Have you guys tried it out and it just does not work for you?
Oh yeah, no, we had a huge long time with GPT-5 and it was, not impressive.
Okay. Well, I think that's some serious alpha to share here. It's going to save our viewers a lot of time here. And speaking of which, we have well over 300 viewers combining all of the different platforms that we are airing on right now. So quick tangent here. Thank you all so much for being here. Really appreciate your support. Really appreciate your time. We're going to be wrapping up here pretty soon. So if you guys do have any questions, make sure to drop them in the live chat and we will try our best to get to them before the end of the stream. And if you can, give this stream a quick final share, final repost, and let's bump up the audience for the last couple of minutes here for these fine gentlemen. Yeah, Cobi, back at you.
Yeah, I was just gonna take a little bit of a contrarian take, and I'm curious to hear what Whale's response to that question is too. I will say though, yeah, GPT-5 does tend to run away from me, kind of like Steven said about the latest Claude version. I do a lot of planning, which I talked to Steven about this as well. Like I will plan a lot way before I even open Cursor. And to the point where when I open Cursor, I already have like 2 or 3 markdown files that I'm going to plop in. It's like a PRD document, product requirement document, a plan.md, and then maybe just a general like overview file, which again, that's not model specific. But since I do that, I think I have a little bit more flexibility on which model I decide because I've already given it these guardrails. But again, the model still has to choose to live within or outside of those guardrails. But yeah, am still a really big fan of GPT-5. I'd use the inside Cursor. I go GPT-5 high, and then I have the max always on as well. So it has that kind of like larger context window. And I'll have that big plan document. And then before I send the agent to do the plan, I have it break it down into 5 chunks. And then I have it stop and check in with me after each chunk. And then depending on what I'm building, I'll tell it write tests and then run the tests and then create a markdown file that visualizes or shows me in plain terms. I always tell it like, hey, I'm an idiot. I barely know what I'm doing. Tell whether that's true or not, just to have it use the simplest verbiage. So yeah, I don't know. GPT-5 is still kind of my go-to right now.
Okay,
Whale,
so two
what about
different
you?
strategies. Yeah, that's interesting here. Sorry, go ahead, Will.
Wait.
Could potentially
So,
still be having some.
yeah,
There we
I've
go.
been roguing. I didn't hear the last part of the question.
Just same question for you. Yeah, which models, right? Like, we heard from Ace and Steven on like which models you prefer to use inside a Cursor and for what. And so yeah, just kind of curious. I assume your answer will be close to the same though.
Yeah, I mean, I usually start with auto, and then I think that the one that I usually go for like more complicated things is Grok. But then for some reason, Grok doesn't implement the changes, and then I don't know how to implement it. So once I have an answer, I usually go back to auto and ask to implement those changes.
Okay, Grok's name is on the board now too. I've seen some posts actually that a lot of work has been put into their, I guess, their coding capabilities here. So that's cool to know. I've been fading Grok here, I think, for a little bit here. So that's good to know that they're up there.
Awesome. Well, yeah, that's kind of, I have some more questions, but we are right on the dot. So I know Steven needs to run. But yeah, unless there's anything from folks in the audience or from our viewers, I'm just kind of curious, like what is, we've gone through two streams. We've got to see 2 separate demos. We've kind of talked about the, different models, the backstory, for going from Replit into Cursor. And so that leads me to my final question. Once you guys got into Cursor from Replit, and for those who don't know, Replit's just like a web-based vibe coding tools. The Replit, Lovable, V0, tons of ones out there, Orchids. And what was the most valuable thing that you guys found once you went into Cursor and could like see the files, so to speak?
So I'll start with this, and then maybe Will can chime in. But I had been using Cursor in my day job for quite a while, and I was actually kind of surprised that we decided to start with Replit at first. But it kind of made sense because even though I'm not necessarily a bona fide developer, I do have like coding experience and just experience in IT in general. So it made sense why we wanted to start with more of a retail focused code vibe coding platform. But once we kind of made the decision to switch to Cursor, I was elated because it feels natural, at least for me. It's basically like VS Code, but with some AI baked in. And when you're able to see like all your files, you can kind of know where things are. That was ease of mind for me because in Replit, I'm like, where's my database? Where are all these files? Where are you making these changes? And then the whole version control thing, GitHub was a nightmare on Replit. We ran into a lot of issues with that. We run into some issues still on Cursor, but we're getting better at that because it's there, it's visible. Of course, I kind of know GitHub, but being able to see these guys like Whale and Steven go from no coding experience to what I would at least consider entry level coders at this point is pretty nice. I give them their kudos all the time. And I think that they have a more peace of mind knowing where things are, but I won't put words in their mouth. But I can say like our workflows have gotten a lot better since moving to Cursor. It's just smoother in my opinion.
That is so cool. And if I may just jump in here real quick, I just want to highlight the alpha that was just shared here with us. And I appreciate you, Ace, for so eloquently putting that. Is for anyone who is interested in just starting. If you've never coded anything a day in your life, if you have this awesome idea in your mind and you want to actually build an app and make it a reality, it sounds like Replit is a really good place to start. It sounds like for the brand new user who's never done any of this before, there may be a little bit less of a barrier, but it sounds like you will also outgrow it. And it sounds like it won't take as much time as you think before you do outgrow it. And then when you do, it sounds like Cursor is just like the natural progression, the next jump to take, because it's going to solve a lot of your problems. It's going to make things a lot more easier once you actually do understand what your needs are, what the barriers are, to actually really level up your vibe coding here. Does that sound about right there, Ace?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, being the one of the part of the group that kind of already had some experience and trying to bring these guys along, it's nice to see their progression just naturally and their curiosity grow. You know, we all have different backgrounds, so being able to kind of see my partners come into my world a little bit and expand their knowledge, I mean, I'm happy. I'm happy. So that's definitely a good explanation I would give comparing Replit and Cursor.
Love it, man. No, I really appreciate that. Cobi, back at you, my friend.
Well, I was just
One
gonna
thing-
say, dude, it makes me happy too, and I'll let Will jump in here. Honestly, I just wanted to say, yeah, it makes me happy because it's almost a similar perspective. Like, you know, you kind of already had that experience, and then we've kind of been more on the vibe coding side, and we showed a workflow. And again, you guys would already get here, maybe just take a different road to get here, but like to hear, oh, we saw this live stream of your guys's, it provoked us to, you know, to jump back in and to see where that, you know, where it came from 90 days ago to today is, yeah, it's awesome. It's heartwarming, to, for lack of a better term. And for those of you guys who are those folks in the audience or the people that are in my comment section, just start, man. Like, just prompt. Like, you don't need any money. You don't need any experience or knowledge. Like, just prompt. You can just prompt stuff. You can just prompt
Talk.
stuff. Well, go ahead.
One thing
bro.
that I really struggled from Replit to Cursor was not having Replit show me the app. Like the fact that now I have two windows. I do miss that part. I actually bought a laptop and I got one with a dual screen, so I can like both things open. But that was a big like something that I miss. So I think that, I don't know about Lovable. Replit is definitely way more expensive than Cursor. Like,
Wow.
considerably
Okay.
more expensive than Cursor. So I think that if you're just trying to start out and build a simple website, something that is going to take a few hours and you might need to do some upgrades here and there, I think Replit is great because it's kind of like you plug and play. But if you want to do something a little bit more complex, then 100% you need more control. And even like we went from Replit to then setting up GitHub because of you guys. And then like after that, we had a merge conflict and we basically lost all of our app, but we had a branch that we had as a copy. So we were able to get, I don't know, 90% of where we have done already. And then going to Cursor, then every single aspect of it, we had to deal. Like we had to find a deployment service because Replit was deploying for us. We had to find a database service because Replit was doing it for us. Now I think that we have so much more control. For example, like a little thing, Replit never told us that we should not push the env file to GitHub. So that was a little bit of a mission to clear that mess up once we moved to Cursor, because once we were in Cursor, we realized that that stuff has important information that should not be on the internet. So I think that that's same. If you're making a website, like there's very little value in somebody hacking your website. Like if it's just like your portfolio, like your photographer portfolio, it's something like that has no real access or value to it. But once you start creating something that at some point could be a Web3 stuff, and 100% we need to you have to have more control.
Yep.
Yeah, I can't. That's crazy that it didn't show you or be like, hey, by the way, you should hide this or you should put this on like the git ignore, this .env. Go ahead, Abe.
Yeah. And I was just going to say, I mean, what Will said just goes to show the journey that it's been for people with no experience or little experience to being where we're at now. I mean, for me, I don't even think about not hiding my env file or at least pushing it to a public gig. It's just like reflex. So I didn't even like think to not, I don't know. But even with me, being more experienced, it's been a learning curve or a learning experience. Um, Getting to know these AI assisted development platforms and, being more purposeful with what I'm doing, having to reach back in my, file cabinet of memories and training. And it's like, okay, I should do this. I should do that. And like be more focused on telling the or being as explicit as possible with my prompting, which is where I've spent more of my time versus actually knowing how to code as of late. And these guys have done a really good job because I'm not always able to spend as much time as they are. So if they shoot me a message and ask a question, I try and answer it for them and help them along the way. But these guys have fixed a lot of major, what I would consider like production level issues, and very quickly with little to no help of mine, or they ask me a question and I'm able to answer it. But yeah, I think this is a testament to show that you don't really have to have any experience, and you learn. As long as you learn along the way and learn from your mistakes, you can go from, like I said, no experience to entry level to intermediate, in a shorter order of time. So yeah, I'm excited for where we're going.
Awesome,
think,
man.
One of the things, real quick, that has helped me the most is to say not to do anything, to ask me any questions that it has about the project that we're trying to start. I ask it to create the text file with the perfect plan so that it can go back to that plan if something gets, like sometimes AI just goes rogue and start taking decisions on its own. So by having that document, I can tell it to go back into that plan that we have. And then I ask again if he has any questions that he needs answering before we start. And once all of those things have been tackled, I feel like I have to change my agents less by doing that because there's like a steps. I feel like AI doesn't understand context. It understands what
Mhm.
you're prompting it, but no context. It can't really see outside of itself. And yeah, so I think that that's been one of the things that I've learned, just understanding how the AI works. And then also like understand, I mean, I started deploying some Web3 contracts, and like very basic. I'm trying to do like a liquidator and a flash loan, just kind of understanding. I did the FTS, but like trying that little project allowed me to then understand the FTSO and how to implement it. So then I went back to my app, and then it took me half a day to implement the whole logic when we had tried it before and I was not able to do it. So you can learn even if you can't write, because sometimes it's not so much about like being able to write the code, it's being able to understand the code and what it's doing and how it's structured in a way that how does it receive orders that you're inputting.
I couldn't be more stoked. Trav, you're gonna have to sign us off because I could keep asking questions, and you know that I could stay here all day and talk about this. Like I have like 5-10 more things I would love to talk about, but so if you don't end, we will be here all day.
Okay, no, that sounds good. I do need to hit the road here pretty soon anyways, so as much as it definitely sucks into this conversation, it's the right thing to do here. So I just want to quickly summarize some of the alpha that was just dropped here. First of all, it's probably not a bad idea to start off with something smaller if you're planning on using the kind of the vibe coding strategy to actually build something where there may not necessarily be value stored on the application that you're trying to build, just until you can understand what all of the security measures are, what all of the safeguard procedures might be. Also, even if you don't end up building anything, through practicing vibe coding, you will learn to become a better prompter and be a better connoisseur, if you will, of the AI persuasion, if that makes sense. Because like Will already said, he's now gained the understanding that AI may not necessarily understand context in the sense of not being able to see outside of itself. So that right there is an incredibly powerful perspective to have when actually then building your next prompts. So in saying that, let's sorry, go ahead there, Cobi. Oh, I see your hand up there, Whale, as well here, but I saw you first, Cobi. It's all yours.
Okay, sorry. Also, I didn't know I could actually raise my digital hand, but I just wanted to add to that. I think that's huge. Like understanding, I'll be really quick, but understanding how the AI works, and even if you could go back further and figure out how AIs are trained, OpenAI just released a research paper, I think, on the 12th, and it was about why models don't say, I don't know. Like, they will always answer your question, even if they don't know. Okay. So, we all know that it's like hallucinations. But it's actually just a little bit deeper than that. Long story short, it will always try to do the thing, especially in Cursor, it'll always try to do the thing with either without enough context, like Whale said, or just to like please the user, right? Like in the system prompt, like their job is to make you happy, so you pay them another $20 at the beginning of the month. That's not its sole job, but it's basically the sole, job of that agent. So yeah, understanding that and like knowing, hey, I'm gonna have to tell it to ask me questions, so it doesn't just assume the answers of these things to get to do the thing and then ruin my application. So sorry, Trav.
I think one of the biggest problems that I have had, and this has been coming back to what I said before about like understanding where the problem could be. Like you have no idea because at the beginning we hard coded the prices, or the AI decided to hard code some prices. So then it was like falling back to that price instead of fetching the live price that we were doing from the database. And now I understand that sometimes you do have to go back and be like, look for no hard coded values. I don't know, it's kind of hard to explain, but at some point you start understanding how the AI thinks, how the AI doesn't think, and then also things that it falls back, like doing the smart contracts. It would be like, oh yeah, I did a mock transaction for you, and then it's not working, and then you're like, why is it not working? Why does it say a mock transaction? Oh yeah, sorry, I thought yeah, and he just gets super confused and says like, oh
The
yeah, no, it's
assumptions.
the. But if you don't know those things, that it just takes experience, you can go on for hours and hours and hours, and the AI doesn't even think about looking if there's a hard-coded price unless you point it out. So yeah, of course, like I said, the website is not a problem. Once you start doing logic and things that are called in different places, then you do need to dive deep into like understanding how things work to be able to push forward. But at the same time, you see the progress, and it's the pure motivation to keep going on.
Oh, heck yeah. Complete positive feedback loop. It just, yeah, you get started, you see results, you're motivated even more, and you prompt even harder, and then just keep on amplifying the results and the output that you create just from vibe coding, just from prompting. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, Whale. Hearing the words you're using from, and thinking about a person, myself, I guess, being in the shoes of somebody who has never coded before, however many X amount of months later, you're speaking like a pro. And Ace, you've definitely attested to that here. So really appreciate you guys. So we're going to wrap it up here. I do want to quickly pass the mic around. I want to head out to Ace and then Quantic for some closing thoughts here, and then we will wrap it up here. So Ace, I'm going to send the mic to you. Any final words, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, sign up for the DeFi Tracker. It's the best, product on the market, in my opinion, in terms of tracking your assets, tracking performance. There's plenty of room for more enhancements. There's plenty of room for improvements as well. So we'll keep at it, but check us out.
Use code
Well,
W.
That too.
Top left corner of the
last
screen.
update that Steve implemented yesterday was a suggestion voting mechanism. We're still
Cool.
working on that, but like people can suggest features, and then people can vote on them, and then the most voted we can like plan on implementing. But yeah, we're always like, we come up with an idea and then we're like right away trying to figure it out.
I love that. Two right off the bat. Well, one question, one thought is, I know I commented on this last time, but what really amazes me about the work that you guys are doing is that direct communication, the direct line of communication that you guys have with your community. Absolutely incredible. And it's going to help all of you guys out into building a better product, but also build a community behind it as well, who is trustworthy of you guys, because you're right there to answer all their questions and receive all of their feedback here. So do you guys actually have like a Discord or a Telegram for your community, or is it all through the website, or is it all through X?
It's really a combination. We field feedback from X, of course, but we also get a lot of feedback from our DeFi Den users, which is our private group. But there's also the ability to submit tickets through the tracker. So like if you're running into an issue like a bug, or say you have an enhancement request or anything like that, you can submit a ticket through the tracker. It lands on our Notion board. One of us will pick it up, or we get an email. So we'll see it either way and we get right to it.
Fantastic. That's awesome. And I mean, truly the best way to actually build a product, build a community is through transparency and direct lines of communication here. Quantic, final thoughts, final words, my friend.
Yeah, no, final words here, really a call to action, because I think that it's pretty clear that these guys are putting in the work, they are improving, they're providing us real solution. They have tons of knowledge, and really what we're doing with Web3 Matters and this collaboration is enabling that value to you guys, to the people that are watching, right? So in order for us to deliver that, we really need you to take action with, right now we're doing this campaign with the referral codes, and give us feedback. What else do you want to see? What else can we do for you? What else can the people from DeFi Tracker and Flare Forward do for you? And we're just going to do it eventually, right? So it's an amazing opportunity, but you need to take action and you need to get started with vibe coding and doing stuff. If you want to do that and you're ready to, build your app, we can also feature you here. We're doing this for free. We do not get anything, and we're going to continue to provide value to the end of the days.
Absolutely, man. Yeah, I couldn't echo that more. If you guys are curious about building or curious about these apps, or you're one of the guys in my like, just start, man. Literally, replit.com, lovable.dev, literally type into your free ChatGPT, what are 5 ways to get started vibe coding with 0 experience and 0 money to spend. Secret to success is getting started. I'll say that every single week. And so yeah, get out of your shell and go do it. Now, if you don't want to, shameless plug here, if you don't want to get out of your shell and you do need somebody to help you, hit me up, hit my DMs. I'm open to work. I'm open to help you, kind of like, help show you how to do those plan documents and walk you kind of through the, I'll do some hand holding for the first few steps of your build.
Awesome, gentlemen. Always a pleasure here. Solid points and way to end off such a fantastic live stream. Speaking of which, between all the destinations where we are streaming and broadcasting this live stream here, we officially have over 400 viewers with us right now. So truly appreciate every single one of you guys. Thank you so much for being here. We hope that we provided you guys some value, some inspiration here today, some motivation even. So definitely stay tuned for next week. We're going to continue the keep the ball rolling here. Thank you so much to Ace and Whale and Steven, who is not here with us right now, but you guys, just the work that you were doing is an inspiration. Appreciate that you were putting the community first and building something that actually solves a problem for the entire crypto space here. Cobi, Quantic, pleasure as always. My name is Trav. See you guys next time. Have a wonderful rest of your day and weekend.
Thanks, guys.
Have a good night.